The 855th edition of the MMA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Get up to $1,000 deposit match when you sign up at UnderdogFantasy.com using promo code MMASGPN.
Howdy ho, DeGenerinos. Welcome to episode 855 of the MMA Gambling Podcast in the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, dedicated to my co-host, not because he dominated at the UFC this past week, no, because he just did that intro ad read by memory, off book. It only took him three times to get it right.
Three reads. It was kind of a Ron Burgundy situation.
Now be done, you Gumby Vreeland. I am now Christian Soda, aka Jeff Fox.
I didn't even notice.
It makes you laugh every time. You notice my change my name. Yeah, I sure did. This is your bonus episode. So don't complain next week when you only get 4 episodes because you got 6 this week. Okay. It all evens out. There's too much to cover this week. We had to cram another episode in,
and we're missing some good stuff too. I just had somebody hit me up on Twitter and asked me if I had some thoughts on the main event of Tough Enough this weekend, which we did a Tough Enough show not that long ago too.
And it's doing one next week, maybe
2 weeks from now, I think. 2 weeks from now, I think. Yeah, and this main event for this weekend is a sick one. It's Diego Brandao and Kenan Kawahe. One former UFC guy and one former Contender Series guy. And it should be a fun one. So if you like talking about crazy things like Tough Enough main events, hit us up in the Discord, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord.
Is Tough Enough on the rise?
I think so. So like they've always kind of like low key had like great future stars. Like I want to say Ronda Rousey fought in there, and there's a bunch of former UFC stars who came from there. But it seems like now they're doing better at being like, okay, well, you lost on Contender Series. Can you come fight the up and comer and see if you deserve more Contender Series or if this guy does? Which is kind of like what LFA kind of does that anyway. But they LFA only really wants you if you were an LFA guy to begin with. Yeah, and so like this place seems like almost where, okay, you can't get a fight with LFA, you can't get a fight with CFFC, or can't get matched up the right way in this promotion. Come on over. Tough Enough's got a little bit of something for everybody.
Wow, look at you. That's a good hashtag slogan for them. Tough Enough's got a little something for everyone. It's busy week. Everyone's cramming in their MMA this week because some country has a holiday next weekend. So the world shuts down. So, but there's still a few events that we shall be covering next week. So
yeah, PFL's got their international stuff. We got PFL Euro and PFL MENA.
Knock on wood that they don't get canceled. Or if they're going to cancel them, please do it before we record the episodes. All right, that's all I ask. It's not asking much. All right, let's dive into some Oktagon. Oktagon is off in Germany in a big arena, like a 16,000 person arena. So they're really doing it up. Before we do that, speaking of doing things up. College Experience is doing up their college football team previews. They are back on the College Experience. Colby Nant and Moneyline Mac preview every FBS college football team, which is a lot of teams. How many teams is that, Gumby? Hundreds, right?
I think I know how many D1 college basketball teams. That's like 356. So I think it's probably like 160 for D1 FCS, and then the division after that's another 200 or so.
134. You were close. I googled it.
That's not bad. That's bad.
Still, that's a lot of previews that they're doing. So make sure you check it all out. You don't want to miss it. College Experience. This is one of our crown jewels of every season when they do these massive previews for every team. All right. Oktagon just keeps pumping out crown jewels. Even though you said this event you said off air, it wasn't the greatest event. You're not super stoked on this one. The King of Germany is in the main event for God's sake.
Chris Eckerlin is back. And like Robert Pukač is a fun opponent for him too. Like they matched up well. I would just say there's a couple of my fan favorites on there, but usually I feel like the undercard I'm a little bit more like jazzed up on. The main card here is good. We got a title fight. We've got every time they go to Germany, they like to stick like Eckerlin or Jungwirth or Eckerlin versus Jungwirth on the main event. So we're getting a little taste of that here too, and some other guys who I like. So it's a good one. It's just kind of a letdown after last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago, rather. Yeah. That was a absolute banger of an event, even though it lost a few fights. And actually that wound up making it better they've got a summer event coming up now where they put all the fights that got canceled on that card on that one. So we're going to get paid back for that later.
Awesome. This one, definitely, if you're German, this is not one you're going to want to miss this week. So we're talking about Oktagon 73, Eckerlin versus Pukač. It is going down in Hamburg, Germany, in the Barclays Arena. Like I said, it's a big, I think 16,000. Depends on the setup. It could be a little less, but they normally tend to sell these things out, or at least pack them in. It's happening this Saturday if you're in the Eastern time zone, 12 p.m. Eastern start time. So you can check this out before the UFC pay-per-view kicks off. It'll probably almost run perfectly into the UFC start time. Internet pay-per-view, as per usual, but it's definitely worth your money because they put on a great show. Barclays Arena, Hamburg, Germany, 11 fights. We're going to give you in-depth on basically half of them, 5 of them, and then we will have plenty to choose from for our lightning round of picks. And add a bonus, I guess it's a good thing. We do have odds. Sometimes it's better when we don't, and Gumby guesses, and then we can... when the odds do drop, we can get a jump on things sometimes if they're way off from what Gumby says, but we do have odds this time. You've seen them too, I take it, Gumby?
I have, yeah. Okay. They come out real early for Octagon lately. I think the books know they must be taking some volume for Octagon, so they put them out early.
Excellent. We got a German versus German fight to kick things off. So who will the crowd root for? Niklas, Stolze, Jessin, Ayari, a couple of names you probably are familiar with. They are fighting at 170. We'll tell you about Ayari first. Abacus is the nickname. 18. Maybe he can be upgraded to calculator someday. 18-6, 5 knockouts, 8 submissions. He's been knocked out 3 times, submitted once. He's 1-0 in Octagon. He's won 2 straight. Before that, he lost 3 straight. The past 2 wins have both come via TKO. He's not lost since October 2020. He has multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get our shirt, get our merch, get our gear. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. He went 1-3 in the UFC. Used to fight at 155. 2009 pro MMA debut. He's at plus 200. Stolze is green mask. 14-7, 5 knockouts, 5 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted twice. 3-1 in Octagon. Win over his last 3. 2-4 over his last 6. He won his last fight via TKO. He went 0-3 in the UFC. Used to fight at 155. 2014 pro MMA debut. 1-0 in pro kickboxing. An inch height, 2 inches reach over Ayari. Minus 275. So it's a good thing for European fighters if UFC doesn't work out, then they have this massive promotion they can go to now.
Yeah, I thought you were going to ask me about where the nickname Green Mask.
Yeah, I think we talked about it.
Actually, I had the answer, and I was like,
wait, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so he was a Muay Thai fighter, and his coach said he had to have a gimmick because nobody would care about some like plain white guy from Germany in like Muay Thai kickboxing. Yeah. And so he came out one time with like the mask from like the movie The Mask.
Oh, really? I was thinking like Power Rangers or something.
No, like a green mask. Just like
a
green mask, and he came out, and so then they called him Green Mask after that.
Okay.
He doesn't wear a green mask anymore. He did it, I think, one time.
That's all it takes.
But it was enough for like a gimmick to be born. I'm gonna take Jessin Ayari. I'm gonna go underdog straight out of the gate here.
That's what you like to
see. And the big reason why I like him in this fight is, you know, I think he's still an underdog here because he's you said 2-3 in his last 5.
Yeah.
All 3 of those losses came in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken, though. Yeah. And then he took 4 years off. He took 4 years off, and his first fight after he came back came in some like small European promotion I had never heard of.
Whoa.
And he looked
Inferno?
really good.
Was it? No, Inferno Fighting Championship 8.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. So, you know, no offense to the fine folks at Inferno.
And it's sorry to interrupt. It's in as in like the hotel inn. INNFERNO.
Oh, Inferno. Like that's
is it at a hotel perhaps?
I don't know. I kind of like that.
He won the title in that fight. So there
they gave him a title shot on the first. I actually went back and watched that fight. Inferno, for some reason, has that fight available on YouTube, so you can watch it too if you want. Nice. But he looked great in that fight, and then I remember he got his fight in Octagon, you know, as his second fight back. I picked him as an underdog in that one. He was fighting another UFC veteran too.
Andreas Stahl.
Yeah, Andreas Stahl. That's right. The Swedish dude. And I picked him in that, and he won too, because like he doesn't look like he did in the UFC. First of all, he bulked up a little bit. He looks much stronger than he used to look. His kicks are coming much faster than they used to. So it's both a speed and a power thing. It looks like he's got a little bit of top game, you know, in his fight for Inferno. You know, he knocked the guy down. He had some really nice top control and some good ground and pound. Like, I like everything I've seen out of this, like, new revitalized version of Jessin Ayari. And then, like, when you look at Niklas Stolze, like, he is fun to watch. He's always been a fun fighter to watch. But the big problem for him is it's striking or bust. He needs to beat you in a kickboxing match because, you know, as we sort of saw in the UFC, there isn't much else to his game other than that kickboxing. And so for Ayari, like we've seen that he could kind of grapple, but even on top of that too, like I think his kickboxing holds up with Stolze at this point. Especially the speed of which I'm seeing these kicks at. I think he could press him against the cage and wear him down that way. I think there's a lot of paths to victory here for Jessin Ayari. So to see him at plus 200, which actually did come down from this morning, he was 220 this morning. So to see him at that kind of number, I just think there's too much value to pass on. Give me Jessin Ayari.
All right, there we go. Maybe he's not old, but maybe he has old man strength now. He's knocked out back-to-back people too. So who's to say? But yeah, Gumby says he looks totally different now, and not just physically, but the way he fights. So there you go. There is some insight for you that you don't get if you just look at resumes and stuff like that, like some people do on this podcast. All right, before we dive into more winning plays, let me tell you about mybookie.ag. We are brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet in every sport, including the MLB, WNBA, golf, and of course, football futures. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations, easy deposit, lightning fast payouts using crypto. I think these lines will be on MyBookie. I think they cover Oktagon. Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah,
Gumby?
I've seen Oktagon on there before. Yeah.
All right. Check out these lines at MyBookie. They do cover a lot of regional MMA. So that's why I went on the limb and assumed that it was Oktagon. I'm pretty sure I've seen them there. So head to mybookie.ag. Use our promo code MMA SGPN when you sign up, and then you get 100% deposit match up to $1,000. Terms and conditions apply. That's mybookie.ag, promo code MMA SGPN. And don't forget about this. Circa's Ultimate Fantasy Football giveaway is on. Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas is giving away the ultimate fantasy football experience for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas to be treated like VIPs for their stay. You get a limo ride from the airport, a $5,000 tab for stadium swim, and a hotel stay for you and your 11 league mates. And you can always get 15% off at all the Circa properties with promo code SGP15. It's the last chance to enter the Circa Ultimate Fantasy Football giveaway. Make sure you go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/circa. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CIRCA. Okie dokie. Let's jump on to a 135-pound bout. Jonas Mågård. He is from Denmark. He is fighting Farbod, Iran, Nezhad. He is from Germany. 3 5-minute rounds, 135. I'll tell you about Nezhad first. 12-3-1, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out twice. 1-0 in Oktagon, 4-1 over his last 5, 4-3 over his last 7. He did win his last bout. Regional champ. He's fed at 145 and 155. 2012 pro MMA debut. He's at plus 163. Shark Mågård, 17-7, 2 knockouts, 7 submissions. He's been knocked out once, submitted 4 times. 5-2 in Oktagon, and the champion. He's a current champ, right? This is a non-title.
No, he lost. Didn't he?
No, he lost his belt, right? Yeah,
he lost it to Ian Surdu.
Yep, former champ. Loss, win, loss.
No, not Ian Surdu. Ian Surdu's a welterweight.
Who you lose? Okay, now I'm gonna have to look up.
Not Ian Surdu.
No, he lost to Igor Severino. That wasn't for the belt. Felipe Lima, who we'll be talking about tomorrow, right? Yeah. Is he on the prelims or on the main card? Yeah, prelims, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we'll talk about him tomorrow. All right, so that is we're back to Mågård here. So former champ, lost 1 loss over his last 4, 5-2 over his last 7. He's also a regional champ or was a regional champ. He's fed at 145 and 155. 2014 pro MMA debut. 2 years younger than Nezhad, an inch taller, 6-inch reach advantage, which is pretty substantial there. Minus 225.
Yeah, I'm going Mågård here. Sizable favorite, but I think even still a playable line straight, or whether or not you want to squeeze him in parlays and stuff. The problem I have with Nezhad is when he fights, he's really overly focused on the takedown to the point where I think it's a detriment to his striking. He doesn't blend the styles well together. It's pretty clearly he's like, okay, I'm going to throw these 2 punches and then we'll get to doing what I want to do. And it's cost him in the past too, right? Like I'm pretty sure it was PFL Europe he was in, right? Where he lost to Francisco Nuzzi beat him, if I'm not.
Who are we talking about? Sorry.
Nezhad was in.
Nezhad was in PFL. I don't think he was in PFL, was he? Let me see.
I remember him.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, overlooked it. PFL Europe. Yeah.
Francisco Nuzzi too was the
head
opponent.
kick.
Yeah, and like if you watch that fight too, he throws like the couple of compulsory strikes on the feet real quick, and then he shoots a takedown, and you're like, that was the most obvious thing I've ever seen. and like Nuzzi, to his credit, stuffs it, but like Nuzzi isn't good at takedown defense. We saw him lose to Mando Gutierrez later in the PFL proper by just like not having good submission defense and not necessarily good takedown defense. So like Nezhad was so obvious in what he was doing that he like easily stuffed and then later, shortly thereafter, kicked in the head. And like, Jonas Mågård is a very, very, very good wrestler. Perhaps one of the better bantamweight wrestlers you're going to see in Oktagon. And in addition to that, too, he blends things together really well. You know, he's a guy who throws out his jab and he throws the overhand right. And he throws the overhand right for a reason. It's because it leads itself well to takedowns. So I don't think Nezhad is going to get any of those takedowns. I wouldn't be surprised if Mågård did. And then on top of that, if they do stalemate out, if for some reason the wrestling is even, you know, I like the way Mågård, you know, throws way better on the feet. He's going to do the simple things right. He's going to do stuff that blends together with what he likes to do. And I think that's just going to carry him to a win here. So I'm going to go Jonas Mågård here as a, you know, medium-sized favorite.
All right. We got a dog. We got a favorite. Let's see what breaks the tie here. We got a 170-pound bout. A couple of Brazilians going after each other in Germany.
This is a guy who lost to INNFERNO.
Which one? Kaik Brito?
Brito. Yeah.
Brito, yeah.
He was the champ.
I think, let me see.
Or was in a vacant title shot with Serdu, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, former champ Brito. Yep.
Yeah, okay.
He's fighting Joilton, not Joilton, Joilton. So basically Joilton with an O. Joilton Lutterbach, which sounds like a German name. So he'll maybe the crowd will get behind him. They're fighting at 170 pounds. As I said, we'll tell you about Brito first. No relation to Joe Anderson. They don't really look like each other. 17-6, 14 knockouts, 3 submissions. So he's finished everyone. He's been knocked out twice. He's 4-2 in Oktagon, former champion, as we were just saying. Loss over his last 3, 3-2 over his last 5, 5-5 over his last 10. He got TKO'd in his last bout. He went 0-1 in the Contender Series because he lost to who?
Oban Elliott.
Yes, Oban Elliott.
But as much as I groan with the Oban Elliott name, he's one of my new favorite guys for his performance this past week.
Exactly. Gumby, we will. Oh yeah, you did win 10 straight. No, 9 straight, 10 straight. 10, yeah, we'll talk about tomorrow. Gumby destroyed on the weekend with UFC. So, but I'm still ahead. All right, there's still time for me to stay ahead. Multiple region championships on Brito's
Mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, get a merch. sportsgamblingpluggers.com/store. He's fought at 155 and 185. 2015 Pro MMA debut. 5 years younger than Lutterbach. Plus 105. Lutterbach is Peregrino, which means pilgrim. He's 39-10 with 1 no contest, 15 knockouts, 13 submissions. So he's had 50 fights. He's been knocked out twice, submitted once. That is durable. This is his debut in PFL. He's won 5 straight fights. TKO win in his last bout. He's not lost since June 2021. He went 0-2 in PFL. He's got multi-region championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get a merch. sportsgamblingpluggers.com/store. He's missed weight before at 155 because he's fought at 155, 165, 185. 2011 Pro MMA debut, 5-5 in kickboxing and multiple championships there. 2-0 in Pro Muay Thai, 2-0 in Pro Karate, 1-0 in cage boxing. He's done everything. Inch of height, 2 inches of reach over Brito, minus 138.
And he was briefly signed to the UFC to fight Farbod. Do you remember breaking down Farbod versus Joilton Lutterbach?
I remember his name, so yeah. And then he got, what did he get?
He pissed hot right away.
Oh, I forgot to, And he failed a drug test. There you go.
Yeah, immediately. Like, the UFC signed him. 3 days later, they were like, guess what? Lutterbach no longer with the UFC. I think Farbod needed like a last-second opponent, and they were like, oh, this guy kickboxes and is from Europe, and we're already over here. And then immediately
and he's jacked, apparently.
Yeah, well, I wonder why. I'm going to take Brito as a slight dog. Look, both of these guys have been knocked out, obviously. And I think, probably the safer way to play this, if books are offering it, is to play the under. I think this is one of those fights where one of these guys is going to sleep. The bottom line, and the reason why I like Brito a little bit better, is, first of all, he stays a little bit more composed. He likes to do damage from the clinch, so he likes to get to good control positions before he throws like a big elbow or something like that. And he's real vicious in the clinch. Lutterbach is like a low hands guy, which obviously is a problem when you're fighting a fellow knockout artist like Brito could be.
Yeah.
And so he's a low hands guy. He also gets suckered into brawling a lot, which is where you've seen some of those knockout losses on his record. And in general, just some of the problems he has. I mean, he's a flashy kickboxer, but he knows he's a flashy kickboxer. And as a result, leans on that flash probably more than he should. Whereas Brito sticks a little bit more with the fundamentals. I feel like is less likely to get caught, especially after just getting caught. Granted, with some real slick stuff from INNFERNO, but having just been caught, I like expect like a more cautious version of him, and that's just going to set up like good counters, good clinch work, because Lutterbach is like going to come out like a bat out of hell. So give me Brito here. Would you say slightly underdog?
Yeah, he's plus 105.
Okay, that's what I had this morning too. Yeah, and I think it's aligned really well because they're both like exceptionally fun kickboxers. But I do favor just like the technicality here on Brito just a little bit.
It won't be a dog for long because you people move lines. So make sure you get in on it while you can, while he's a dog. All right, we're to a co-main event is for a belt, the Oktagon Flyweight Championship. The champion.
This is actually on their prelims, which is kind of wild.
Really?
Yeah, they're gonna make. You know how?
Oh yeah, they do that before intermission.
They got that intermission thing, and I don't know if they've got a big concert lined up for this one either. But yeah, this is actually gonna air. They just posted right before we went to air something on Instagram, where this is the main event of the prelims.
Okay, yeah. I think wrestling used to do that back in the old days too. Hulk Hogan would main event before the prelim, before the intermission. I think because they were doing like 2 or 3 shots in a day. Anyhow, Chalkx Zhumagulov, you may remember that name. He's from Kazakhstan. He is the challenger against Beno Adamia, the champion from Georgia, the country, not the state. 5-minute rounds, 125 pounds. We will tell you about challenger first. Jaco is 17-9, 7 knockouts, 2 submissions. He's been knocked out twice. 1-0 in Oktagon. He's won 3 straight. Before that, he lost 4 straight. He's gone 4-6 over his last 10. He's not lost a fight since June 2023. He went 1-6 in the UFC. That's kind of misleading.
1-6? It was really that bad?
A lot of those losses though were he should have won those fights.
Or a tie even. Yeah, I'll talk about one of his losses that was real tight in a second.
Regional champion. He used to fight at 135, 2014 pro MMA debut, 1-0 as a pro boxer, minus 400. So he might get some more regional championships here. And then I can say multiple next time we talk about him. Adamia is 12-8-2, 1 knockout, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out 6 times, submitted twice. So he's been finishing all his losses. 3-0 in Oktagon and the champion. He's won 6 straight fights. He's not lost since August 2019. He used to fight at 135 as well. 2015 pro MMA debut. 0-1 in raw boxing, whatever that is.
Raw boxing?
Yeah, it's called raw. Maybe it's bare knuckle. Maybe that's what they call it in Europe. But yeah, raw box.
I don't like
he lost regardless. He's not good at it, whatever it is. 8 years younger than Zhumagulov, 4 inches taller, which is pretty big at flyweight. Pretty big gap there. Plus 275 on the champ.
You forgot to add the metric that's Zhumagulov's got the biggest advantage in.
The wives?
Number of wives.
Yeah, there you go. I left it for you.
Yeah, he has
multiple wives.
I think he's got a 2-wife advantage here.
At least, yeah.
With that being said, I'm taking Zhalgas Zhumagulov. I'm a little bit disappointed when I saw the line come out. I assume that the status of Beno being the champ and having just beat Sam Creasy and like all of that kind of stuff, I thought it was going to wait. Like I was getting ready to predict odds before I eventually looked up and said, oh, they're already up. And I was like, I was thinking maybe Zhalgas at like -175, -200. And so like to see him twice that high is kind of wild, but I get it. Cause like on one hand, like, Beno went in there with Creasy, but like Creasy's not got the best wrestling in the world, right? He's kind of, and Creasy really came with a style that was like, I will fight at whatever pace Beno is looking for. And Zhalgas is not that. Zhalgas comes out like a bat out of hell. He's got some decent wrestling. I wouldn't say it's great, but like he held his own in the UFC with his wrestling. I mean, and he really held his own in the UFC with his striking. Like I went back and I watched his fight with Josh Van, who, by the way, we're going to talk about tomorrow, with a chance to maybe punch his ticket to a title shot this week. And so like Zhalgas went in there and mostly struck with him through that whole fight and was damn close to beating him. Like that, I think both guys landed 100 significant strikes in that fight. And that just tells you like the pace that Zhalgas is able to keep, because if you can keep pace with Josh Van, who has some of the best pace in the flyweight division in the UFC, I don't think he's going to have a trouble putting a pace on Beno, especially in a 5-round fight. I think he's going to be in his face. I think he's going to wear him down. And then if the wrestling does come, I do think he can hit it, because like if you've watched Beno in the past too, like, yes, he himself likes to wrestle, but I've seen him give up takedowns too. I've seen him be in bad spots. And like, that's not really what you want in a 5-round fight with a guy who's got as much high level experience as Zhalgas does. So I'm going to go Zhumagulov, the -400, not super enticing, but he's still my pick here.
if you can keep pace with 2 wives and 6 kids, then you should be able to keep pace with Beno Adamia.
Did you look up how many wives and kids he had while I was talking?
No, I was on Wikipedia for something else, but yeah, according to Wikipedia, it may have gone up since then. Okay. I just wanted to see how many split decisions he lost. The last 3 fights in the UFC, all split decision losses for him. So
terrible.
Yeah, tough. A tough run there for him. Yeah, and especially at a flyweight, I was going to say maybe get another shot, but who knows? At flyweight, maybe not.
I think he's going to get paid handsomely here.
Yeah, he won't
leave. So
it's true. Yep. All right, we're going to get into the main event and our lightning round plays after I tell you about Underdog. Underdog Best Ball Mania is happening all summer long, giving away $15 million in prizes. Even Gumby is interested in that, including $2 million to first place. No waiver wire, no arguments about trades. Best ball is the best way to play fantasy football. Underdog also has a great place to play pick'em, and Gumby always has winning pick'em plays for you, right?
I didn't on that Schwellenbach one.
Yes, I know. Because I played it. 4 strikeouts.
Yeah, he got the win over the Mets, but for some reason the strikeouts just weren't there. And then the Braves brought in a reliever, Dylan Lee, striking out everybody, including Juan Soto. So yeah, I don't know. Weird read. I'm going to go with, actually, you could take either of the starting pitchers in the Pirates-Brewers game on Wednesday. You got the Phenom pitching for the Pirates. You got the Phenom pitching for the Brewers. I'll take the higher on either of their strikeout totals.
Who's the Brewers Phenom again? Remind me.
It's the super Polish name, and I'm going to botch it.
That's why you didn't say it.
Mayo Sorowski, or yeah, it's something crazy Polish. But he threw like 11 perfect innings to start his MLB career. Okay, he's an absolute beast, and his slider is nasty. So
Mizorowski or something, right?
Yeah, and now he's going to throw against the Pirates. So what's better than that?
Exactly. What's better than that? Well. The Nationals, the Rockies, but not much. All right, take Gumby's play and take the code I'm going to give you, MMA SGPN. That way you can claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code MMA SGPN. And you've heard us talk about Rhythm before, and they just dropped a game-changing feature called Power Trends. These are AI-detected patterns where Rhythm's model has consistently won and has a high ROI. Think a strikeout prop that wins 59% of the time when they align and win probability hit a certain range. Power Trends are updated daily and exclusive to Rhythm. No tests, no noise, just clean data-backed bets. Download the Rhythm app, check out Power Trends, and start betting smarter. You know we will be. Gumby has been. He's always telling us about these stuff that he's finding in Power Trends. NBA Finals, he used it.
They were so big on the NBA Finals. And like, I would not have known that TJ McConnell went. He was the only player, did you know this, in the NBA Finals to go over in all 7 games on his point total. And I wouldn't have known that without Rhythm's Power Trends.
Yeah, and they got it for MLB, so you can ride it all summer as well. So you can get a 7-day free trial to check it all out at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm, RITHMM. And of course, NFL is just around the corner, college football, and they'll have stuff for that as well. All right, to our main event, the King of Germany. I didn't know Germany was still a monarchy. I thought they were like a democratic society.
He's not defending that title, though, right? Like, that was like a one-off.
Yeah,
like
kind of like the one we
title?
just the one we just had. Yeah, I think so. I don't think he's defending it because he's fighting Robert Pukač from the Slovak Republic. So that'll be interesting.
Feel like he can be the king of Germany.
If he's king, maybe then Stolze and Ayari should be fighting for some kind of king of Germany type of thing. Since it's German versus German, they're building this king versus prince because Pukač, I guess his nickname must be Prince. Yeah, or the Prince. Yeah. All right. Let's break it down. I'll tell you the weight class. They are fighting at 170, 3 5-minute rounds because there's not a belt, not even an imaginary belt on the line, not even made up belt. Pukač, 19, 13, and 1. 4 knockouts, 4 submissions. He's been knocked out twice, submitted 3 times. 6 and 8 in Oktagon. However, that doesn't sound so good, but he's won 3 straight. So he was 3 and 8 at one point, which really isn't good. He won 3 straight before that. He lost 3 straight. He's gone 4 and 6 over his last 10. He won his last bout via TKO. Used fed at 185, 2010 Pro MMA debut, plus 220. The King of Germany, Eckerlin, 17 and 6 with 1 no contest, 6 knockouts, 8 submissions. Been knocked out twice, submitted twice. 4 and 1 with 1 no contest and Oktagon. And as I said, he's the King of Germany, but we think that's just sitting on his mantle for good now. Not gonna take it off to defend it. He's won 2 straight and 3 of 4. You know what else he has on his mantle? Multiple regional championships. On his,
man, you kind of took it away from me.
I'm sorry. you do the multiple regional championships on his
mantle.
Correct. Get the shirt, get the merch, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store. I realized after I said it, I messed this up on Gumby. He's fight at 185, 2009 Pro MMA debut, minus 300. But since he's Gumby, he was able to be flexible and go with it.
And you had to say it again because it's like a sneeze you didn't let out.
Exactly.
Yeah. I got a special place for Pukač because he made me look real smart when we broke down his fight with David Kozma. I said in the breakdown that I thought he was going to knock out Kozma. And I got some really angry hate feedback in the comments being like, he doesn't knock out anybody. He only goes to decision. And he's not knocking out Kozma. And sure enough, he blasted Kozma. So, I've got a soft spot for him, but I am picking against him here because the thing that made me like him against Kozma is, first of all, Kozma had been knocked out a bunch of times in a row, and it seemed like he was just like down to brawl, even though his brain had been rattled around a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
And Pukač is the kind of guy you don't want to have that kind of fight with because Pukač throws big all the time. Now, he's a little bit slower. He's a little bit stiffer. But he throws big haymakers constantly. And I just don't think that works so well against Eckerlin. Eckerlin, as he showed in his last fight with Jungwirth, is like more well-rounded. I really like the way he uses his left hand to measure for his right hand. It's almost like a jab, but then he just leaves it out there. He's got the sense of where he wants to drive his straight right. And it's real sharp. And I think against the guy who's going to throw like big, huge haymakers, like that's just going to help him keep the distance that he wants the whole time. And then we've seen some like pretty good wrestling out of Eckerlin too. Like again, we'll go back to that Jungwirth fight. In that fight, not only did he get some takedowns and some top control, he damn near finished Jungwirth early in that fight with some ground and pound and some, possible submission attempts. So, he's more well-rounded than Pukač. Pukač is pretty much like, if you like him in this fight, it's because he throws those big bombs and gets in your face. Or maybe you think Eckerlin's going to tire. I don't think Eckerlin's going to tire faster than Pukač, but like maybe that's your avenue here. But whatever your avenue is, I don't think there's a big enough one here to like Pukač at the number. So I'm going to go Christian Eckerlin here.
All righty. Give you a recap, and then we got plenty of fights to choose from for bonus round, lightning round. Eckerlin, Zhumagulov, Brito, Mågård, and Ayari. A lot of UFC, ex-UFC flavor on this year card. All right, lightning round. Zap, Bam, Boom, Pow. Do you have the odds for the fights you're picking, or you want me to look
up unfortunately, so I wrote down my two fighters before I had odds that I was going to do them for. So one of them, I don't know, maybe winds up being parlay material because the odds came in way worse than I thought they were going to. So the first one I'm going to take with maybe not so appetizing odds is Merrick Bartle. 12-12 record. I thought for sure that was going to help pull things down, but people have seen how good he looks lately. The guy's a wild man. He's very exciting in every single fight he's in. He's coming in at -400 right now, which is, when you're playing a guy at 12-12 at -400, you've got to feel pretty darn good about it. But I like Bartle in this fight, and I think he's going to cruise. I just maybe want to wait for that line to come down a little bit. Yeah. And the other one I'm going to take is somebody who I'm pretty sure is entirely new to Oktagon, but was in the UFC, was in Bellator. We've talked about him a ton, and that's Richie Smolin. I don't know if you remember Richie Smolin. You definitely don't remember him from The Ultimate Fighter, which is where I became familiar with him.
I remember him. Not from that.
Yeah, but Richie Smolin, like, sort of sneaky, fun ground game, always game as hell on his feet. Just like an Irish guy who, seemed like he was going to break through with one of the other promotions at some point in time, never kind of got to. And it sort of feels like this is the perfect promotion for him. A bunch of guys who fight similar to the way he does. And I think that could play into his hand. And he's only -115 right now. It's a true pick 'em right now with his opponent. So for my two lightning round picks, we'll take Richie Smolin and we'll take Merrick Bartle.
All right. You are all set for Oktagon. If you want more of Oktagon or anything else, we can be hit up in the Discord. It's going to be, I think, set off the top MMA gambling podcast. sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. MMA gambling podcast is how you find us on the old YouTube if you want to catch us there. Our SGPN MMA is our handle on Twitter. He's at Gumby Vreeland. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer. Instagram too. I'm at Jeff Fox Writer. Where else? You can get a hold of me on my Substack. You can enter my free UFC Pick'em contest that I have running for this weekend's UFC 317 at moneymma.substack.com. Gumby has another podcast called the Top Total MMA Podcast. I haven't seen it yet this week. Hasn't dropped yet. I guess we're a day early for it. Who's going to be on it this week?
We got Jack the Joker Hermanson, who's fighting this weekend. Right. And we just solidified our second one this morning. We'll also have on Alvin Guzzi Hines, who's making his UFC debut.
Nice. Yep. He got the tap on the shoulder, short notice. We'll talk more about him tomorrow for sure. because we're covering UFC. So let's talk Turtle. Of course, we're at sportsgamblingpodcast.com, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store to get your merch, sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon to get some bonus content. I think it's your turn to bid the people farewell, I think. Are you prepared with one or not?
Yeah, I'm Daniel Gumby Vreeland. He's the King of Canada, Jeff Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.